and get started with our event for today. To begin, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to everyone here, whether you're a student, alumni, staff, faculty. I think we even have some community members in the audience today. We're so excited to have you here and to share this space and just be in community with you all here. I feel like it's come at a very important time, and so we're really happy to have this space. I'd also like to express my gratitude for everyone who helped make this event happen, including our Black History Month Planning Committee, and also our partners from across the university. And so some quick housekeeping for today. This event will be recorded and sent out to folks after the fact. And we will have folks muted while the presenters are speaking, just to avoid any background noise or accidental unmutes as happens in the technology space. And we will have space for open dialogue towards the latter half of the event. So we'll still hear your voices just a little bit later on. And yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Chris Gilbert, who is our ombudsman, and she's going to ground us in the space today. And I think you're muted. Another bingo point for our Zoom events.
Super. All right. Okay, thanks so much, Jasmine. As the National University Ombudsman and committee member for Black History Month, I'm honored to bring greetings on behalf of the Dean of Students Office and the Black History Month Committee. We welcome you to the brave and safe space. Later in the program, we'll have an open discussion, and our grounding intentions are simple. We want you to take space, make space, and participate. Challenge yourself to step outside of your regular comfort zone. Use snaps or other nonverbal confirmations when you agree with someone's contribution. We also will have a parking lot. So sometimes we will have to move on from a discussion because of time, but your questions or comments are important to us, so we would like you to put them in the chat or the Q&A. Space, grace, and accountability. We want you to use space to make mistakes, grace to understand our mistakes, and course correct. And some statements made have to come with some accountability, reforms done. And most importantly, confidentiality. What's shared here stays here, and what's learned here leaves here. So each and every year, the question is asked, why is Black History Month occur in February? The reference to Black History Month goes back to 1926 from ASALH, which is the Association of the Study of African American Life and History. Founder Dr. Carter G. Woodson established Negro History Week during the second week of February. And why that week? It's because it encompasses the birth dates of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, both men being American symbols of freedom. However, Woodson never confined Negro history to just 1 week. His life work and mission with ASALH since its founding is a testimony to the year-round and year-after-year study of African American history. The history of the United States is certainly taught and conveyed all year long, but the greatest symbolic celebration occurs one day on the 4th of July. Black History Month, too, is a powerful symbolic celebration, and symbols always stand for something bigger, or in our case, the important role of Black history is the pursuit of racial justice and equality. We invite you to participate in our synchronous event here today with our keynote speaker and the asynchronous portal that will be open on our community page, which is ongoing. Each year, there is a theme for Black History Month. The 2025 Black History Month theme, African Americans and Labor, focuses on the various and profound ways that work and working of all kinds, free and unfree, skilled and unskilled, vocational and voluntary, intersect with the collective experiences of Black people. Indeed, work is at the very center of much of Black history and culture, be it the traditional agricultural of enslaved Africans that fed low-country colonies, debates among Black educators on the importance of vocational training, self-help strategies and entrepreneurship in the Black communities, or organized labor's role in fighting both economic and social justice. Black people's work has been transformational throughout the US, Africa, and the diaspora. The 2025 Black History Month theme, African Americans in Labor, sets out to highlight this and to celebrate the potent impact of this work. All of these things that I've mentioned to you can be found on the ASALH website, which I believe Jasmine will put in the chat. As we celebrate Black History Month, there are numerous meaningful ways that you can contribute to and honor the important occasion, not only in February, but all year round. And here are a few suggestions. Explore Black history. Learn about Black history by exploring local community. And if you have an African American History Museum in your community, go and visit. Read books or stories written by Black authors. A captivating collection of books by talented Black authors on our NU bookshelf, which you have seen earlier in our opening. Discover unique perspectives and rich narratives reflecting diverse experiences and cultural histories. Support Black-owned businesses by choosing to shop from Black-owned businesses. You contribute to the diversity in the marketplace and help create opportunities for unrepresented communities. Consider exploring local shops and restaurants and services to uplift these valuable businesses. Learn about Black leaders. Learn about influential leaders who have shaped history and continue to inspire. Watch films and documentaries created by Black filmmakers. Explore an array of films and documentaries by talented Black filmmakers. Discover diverse narratives that celebrate the rich experiences, cultures, and history in our community. Organize educational events. Plan interactive history lessons, social activism projects, and other activities. And commit beyond February. Make a strategic commitment to Black History Month and don't limit your efforts to just February. And so we welcome you to our program today. And at this time, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the President and CEO of National University, Dr. Mark Milliron. And following Dr. Milliron will be Dr. John Cicero, our Provost and Chief Academic Officer. Dr. Milliron, welcome.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, everybody. I just want to say a huge thank you and just talk about how proud I am about us catalyzing this conversation across National University. It's really important that we take a beat, take the time, recognize the importance of celebrating Black History Month, but also realize that I couldn't agree with you more, Chris. This is not just about February. This is about every day, and making sure that we're having this conversation on a regular basis and actually just getting a lot smarter and a lot more connected and a lot more understanding, a lot more competent, and being able to kind of understand the lived experience of the diverse array of our students that are coming through National University. So again, I just want to begin with a big thank you for being willing to catalyze this conversation, share the dialogue, and make sure folks know that we're open to this kind of larger conversation across the board. I don't need to say this because you all probably know this in your bones like I do. I was drawn to National University. You probably were as well, because this university is committed to being both an access and success innovator. We are trying to open pathways to possibilities for more diverse students from very different kinds of backgrounds. And I love the fact that it is a combination of yes, racial and ethnic backgrounds, but also military, working students, parents, people from all kinds of different backgrounds. And I love our new Ander campaign, because it's the idea, so many of our students are Anders, right? They're coming from positions as being parents and students, being employed and students, being deployed and students. Part of that is just a challenge to us to make sure we are building our cultural competence and understanding the many ands that our students bring to us. And a big part of those ands, a big part of those identities have to do with the backgrounds that they bring. And that's one of the things that's so powerful about Black History Month in particular, is that we have the moment to take a beat, to learn more and get a lot smarter about a big segment of our students. And I particularly, by the way, I just want to highlight and say kudos to whoever picked the theme, because I think African Americans in the labor movement in particular, it's a powerful story, because it's a story of folks who were and are on the front lines of the labor movement, but also increasingly we now have African American leaders in the executive suite and in the union shops who are really kind of driving change in really substantive ways, which is really powerful. So it's kind of a then to now story of trying to, again, open opportunities, make sure that people who have been pretty severely disadvantaged suddenly are now on advantage pathways and actually have the support they need and the capabilities they have to be more successful. So it's a wonderful kind of dualism, in terms of the challenges that folks are facing with the larger labor movement, but also with the African American culture. So it's a great conversation to kind of drive as a theme for the larger Black History Month conversation that you're trying to pull together here. One of the things I'm going to ask, as you're doing this work, is make sure that as you're catalyzing this conversation, Annabelle, you've heard me say this with our SJEDI Council and our kind of broader conversations around how we better understand our students. We have an opportunity to help bring your voices together in a way where you can help advise us on policy, on practice, on technology, on techniques, to make sure we're smarter about how that might impact the African American community. And also, we need you to help co-create those same policies and practices and uses of technology and teaching techniques and support techniques. And we really need you to help educate us and help educate the entire community about how we can get smarter in this. And the great news is I don't think I've been a part of an educational institution that's more open to this dialogue, that is ready and willing to kind of have this conversation and go forward. And we call that the ACE framework. It really is around this whole idea of advise, co-create and consult and educate. And I think it's been an important part of building our culture and helping us get better. And when I think about those ways of work, right, the idea that we want to champion student success, and that is a big diverse array of students who are coming through. We want to champion that student success. We want to build trust. You cannot build trust if you do not get to know people, if you don't have an understanding of those people and understand the backgrounds. This is part and parcel of building that trust. You cannot advance inclusion if you do not open the doors and make sure you have the techniques, the policies, the practices, even the technologies that actually can kind of drive that reach. And embracing accountability, you'll notice in our kind of big five. Remember, our big five for our strategic plan are we helping our students achieve more credentials that give them greater economic and personal opportunity? Are we helping them graduate at a higher rate? Or helping them persist at a higher rate? By the way, graduation is radically important, because debt without degree is disaster for our students. So trying to make sure that doesn't happen is a big deal for us. Persistence, engagement, and really understanding how we can engage students from different kinds of backgrounds. And then in addition to that, NPS and Net Promoter Score is basically this idea is, are they willing to tell other people, boy, that is a place you want to go? right? That is absolutely a place you want to go. But an important part about our Big Five, I want to reemphasize, is we've committed to disaggregating our data across all of those and making sure that we do not have equity gaps, we do not have achievement gaps between there, and we're understanding where we can get better in kind of teaching and reaching our different communities. And I love the fact that we've been open to that conversation. And by the way, as we've done that, we've really kind of tried to, and this is something I ask you to help us with, we've really tried to embrace this idea that we do not want to be a culture of blame. When we get data that tells us we're doing this well or we're not doing that very well at all, we don't want to be blaming anybody. We want to really approach that with a culture of wonder, approach it with a culture almost like of being student success scientists, and have these open conversations and understand what might be happening. And that's where these kinds of dialogues really come in. So I could talk for a long time about how this fits into our larger strategic plan. We are deeply, deeply committed to getting better across the board with our understanding of Black history, Black culture, but especially cultural competence from a whole variety of perspectives. It will help us in making sure we can make good on the promise of whole human education. Whole human education is really about everything that person brings to the conversation to make sure we really can help meet them where they are and take them where they need to go. It's about us delivering on the promise that is National University. And again, could not be more excited about the work we're going to do. And I just invite you to engage deeply with this dialogue, but also to engage deeply with our work, because we have work to do in the coming months and years to get better and better as a university. I want you to hear me loud and clear. We do not want to be a mega university. We do not want to be a huge university. We want to be a great university, and a great university for all of our students, making sure that we can teach and reach all the folks who are coming through. And the work you're doing today is part of this process of helping us get better. So thank you again for everything you do. Engage and invite you to really dive deep in the conversation today and follow up in any way. If there's anything we can do to help to kind of continue the conversation and continue to do good work. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to you, Chris, and to our illustrious provost, John Cicero. And again, thanks everybody.
All right, well, we welcome Dr. Cicero. Would you join us, please, and give us your remarks?
Thank you, Chris. I'm always given the challenge of following our president, and he usually takes all the great talking points, but I'm going to do this from a little bit of a personal perspective and also as the provost and the chief academic officer here at National University. So first of all, I want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to speak. It's always an honor to come to this event every year and just to reflect on the importance of Black History Month. You know, I've been on this earth long enough to see firsthand the many contributions of African Americans to so many aspects of our culture, whether it's the arts, the sciences, engineering, business, economics, politics, and I can go on and on. But coming out of Chicago, I can tell you that the African Americans had significant impact on improvements in labor, impact on education. So it's just been a wonderful journey to watch. And I really appreciate the many contributions. So let's just talk a little bit about academic affairs and what we try to do to demonstrate our commitment to equity and inclusion. You know, our programs, this is really pretty important. There's two pieces if you think about academic affairs. It's the programs that we develop along with the courses, and it's also the faculty that we hire to work with our students. So in terms of the programs, there is really intentional design going on. And I would argue, spending decades in education, that we are probably better than we've ever been before, because in the design of the courses and the programs, there is real intentionality so that every student from every walk of life, the president talked about being Anders, we talk about our students, working adults and so forth. we have to specifically design our courses so that no matter what your background, no matter what your current situation, you have full accessibility to our courses, and you have the opportunity, every opportunity, to succeed. So we're definitely committed to the Anders. We definitely understand that you have work, you're military folks, you have family responsibilities, and it is our challenge, it's our mission to make sure that you can succeed. Going along with what the president said, if you ever see opportunities for us to improve, please let us know directly. Well, very soon you're going to be hearing from Dr. Wanda Addison. I've known Dr. Addison for quite a number of years now, and she is the chair of the Arts and Humanities Department. She is a great leader. As a matter of fact, we just had a meeting a few hours ago, and I could tell you she is wholly dedicated to our students. She is wholly dedicated to critical dialogue. And I got to tell you, in our earlier meeting, we had a critical dialogue. And I got to tell you how much I respect that, because it's important for us to be able to communicate and sometimes disagree, but in a manner that's really civil and really edifying for all the people in the conversation. So she is just outstanding at what she does in that area. So today she's going to be facilitating some of the open dialogue, and I'm sure that we will all be much better off for her activity in this event, for her participation in this event. So I just want to close my remarks by saying, you know, I love NU, and I love being here, and it really is because of our mission. We really are here to uplift each other, uplift our students. We want to empower people through education. We want us to demonstrate equity and opportunity every step of the way. So today, you've already been encouraged, but I want to add my encouragement. When you participate today, be active. And as it was said before, you know, what you learn here, you take with you and reflect beyond today. Well, again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And Chris, I turn it back to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Cicero and Dr. Millarn, for your great remarks. And we are just so excited to have you both as leaders of this organization. With all of that being said, we are at the pinnacle of our event today. We would like to share with you our keynote speaker, Dr. Jafora Fox. Dr. Fox is a premier leadership coach with a PhD in business administration, specializing in industrial and organizational psychology. She brings a unique blend of academic expertise, practical experience, and spiritual insight to her work with pastors and church leaders, leadership teams. More than just a coach, Dr. Fox is also a sought-after speaker, author, minister, and host of her own show, The Jafora Fox Show. She's passionate about empowering churches to make a lasting impact and provide support to help pastors and leaders thrive. Dr. Fox's experience has been that she provides leadership coaching and development. She teaches conflict resolution and is a motivational speaker. She's the founder of Free to Love Me, which empowers women and girls through self-esteem, character development, and conflict resolution counseling. She also is an author. She has authored Perhaps You're the Problem, Navigating Interpersonal Conflict in the African American Church, and Free to Love Me, a healing and devotional journal to shift your faith and growth journey. She's published her research publications include a qualitative descriptive study on interpersonal conflict between leadership and congregants in the African American Church. And beyond her professional achievements, Dr. Fox finds immense joy in her personal life. She's married to the love of her life, Deacon Derek Fox, and they share 4 wonderful children and a beautiful daughter in love, and 5 adorable grandsons. Dr. Fox cherishes the blessings of love, unity, and support that her family and friends bring. And I would be remiss if I did not say or share with you that she is also a graduate of National University, where she received her PhD. For more information on Dr. Fox, you can go to her website, www.jephorafox.com, and I'm sure Jasmine will put that in the chat for you as well. So without further ado, I would like to invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the presentation of Dr. Jephora Fox.
Dr. Jephora Fox, Doctor of Philosophy and Business Administration, specialization in Industrial Organizational Psychology.
Hello, thank you so much, Jasmine, for unmuting me. And greetings, National University President Dr. Mark Miller, Dr. John Cicero, guests, faculty, staff, students, and fellow alums. I am Dr. Jephora Fox. Being a speaker for this Black History Month celebration is truly an honor. As a Black student navigating the complexities of a PhD program in business administration, specializing in industrial organizational psychology, I am reminded of the challenging journey of those late nights writing my dissertation, academic and writing center, and times I did not think I would make it. I often searched for role models of faces that reflected my own in the academic landscape. And while the path wasn't always easy, I was fortunate to encounter professors, mentors, and the support of faculty who helped me along the way. But today I want to talk about something bigger than myself and my determination, though those things were undoubtedly formative. I want to talk about the power of representation, the legacy we inherit, and the future we build. Think about it. We stand on the shoulders of giants, pioneers like Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, the brilliant mathematicians whose calculations were critical to NASA's early space missions. Their stories brought to light in Hidden Figures remind us that Black excellence has always been present, even when overlooked or intentionally hidden. Visionaries like Madam C.J. Walker built a business empire and empowered countless Black women. Or consider the story of Dr. Mae Jemison, the first African-American woman to travel to space. Imagine the courage and determination it took her to pursue her dreams in a field where few looked like her. Their stories and numerous others are woven into the fabric of African-American history, even when those threads have been deliberately obscured. That's why Black history is so important. It's so vital, you all. It's time to amplify those voices, to celebrate the brilliance and resilience of Black people throughout history. It's a time to recognize the profound impact of Black scholars, artists, athletes, and activists who have shaped our world. But it's also a call to action. Today, as we celebrate Black History Month, we must also acknowledge the work that still needs to be done. We must continue to strive for equity and inclusion in all areas of society, including education, business, and the workplace. Whether you are a student, a faculty member, or a community member, you have a role in shaping a more equitable tomorrow. As a graduate of this institution, we have been equipped with the knowledge and skills to make a difference. Let us use our education and voices to advocate for change, mentor the next generation, and be leaders in our communities. That's the future I'm striving to build, and I urge each of you to join me. Let's honor the legacy of those who came before us by paving the way for future generations. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "The arc of a moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." Let us continue to bend that arc toward justice together. Let's make history together. I am Black history. God bless you and thank you. And I do have time for a few questions.
Thank you, Dr. Fox. And yeah, if folks wanted to ask a couple of questions, feel free to raise your virtual hand. You should see that under reactions in your little toolbar, and we'll go ahead and unmute you. Folks might also just be in awe of your speech, so it might take them a second to think of words and questions. Let's see, we got Wilson. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much for this powerful speech. And it's my first time to attend this meeting here in this most esteemed learning, high learning institution. It's an honor, it's a distinct privilege for me, for all of you, and to be here today. My question, of course, it's gonna be very simple. Is African Americans have helped build this country from scratch or from zero to nowadays. And it's been a long history until we get here. It comes with a lot of ultimate sacrifice, as it's been known. And the fact is that we are now a minority in this country in terms of population. And our pioneers, our anchors, and our leaders of civil rights movement have been vibrant, have been very powerful. It seems to me now, all this time that we get along up to this moment as we all speak, it seems like we sleep a little bit. What more efforts that we need to put in place in terms of plans, strategies, and policies in order to rejuvenate, in order to re-energize our youngsters to rise up to the occasion for these enormous challenges that our country is now witnessing, so that we don't have to be only history, but we have to be consistent, part and partial into making differences in all areas of life here in United States and overseas. So I think this is an elaborative statement, and in terms of his statement or questions, but I feel that it's very critical for me to speak out my mind because it's concerning to me. So this is what I would like to share with all of you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Sorry. And I think we have time for one last question with the raised hand, so I'll go ahead and let you unmute.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Shiante. I have a question. I'm curious to know, how did you navigate higher education as an African American woman? Because I have a story to tell. I am transitioning over to paralegal studies because I've experienced a weird situation in my nursing school that resulted me going back to school. So I just want to know how did you manage being able to deal with those personal, I guess, the personal adversities to being a student?
Yes, thank you so much for your question. Great question. How did I manage that? It's very complex, but with determination and resilience, because my end goal at this end was to complete and obtain my PhD. So I let nothing or no one stop me from obtaining that. And so I believe that with a space of resilience and determination and lots of prayer, and also having a great support system to help me throughout the journey. One of the things that I learned afterwards was that is so important is to have a community of people who understand your journey. And as an African American woman, I didn't have anyone in the beginning to help me navigate that. They didn't, they can hear me when I had anxieties, but they didn't understand it. And so what I found what to be very, very important is to be in a community of others who are a part of your journey and your struggle, other PhD students, other doctoral students, and create that community to help you when you have those difficult times, because it is difficult. And trying to do this as an African American woman, getting a PhD with only 3% of the United States who has a PhD, and then trying to continue to fight through the things that you have to go along with in that. And so I just would recommend to you to create a community, be resilient, be determined, and let nothing stop you from reaching your goal. The community is extremely important. It'll help you in those times when you feel like you're struggling, you can't make it, you need to talk to someone. But I believe it's more than just talking to someone. You want to make sure that the person understands what it is that's going on, that you understand, they understand your situation and your struggle. And so congratulations to you. Keep going. Don't quit. Don't give up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fox, and for everyone asking their questions. For the sake of time, we are going to move to our next presenter, but there will be space towards the latter half of the presentation where you can get all those questions answered. So I'll go ahead and reshare and pass it back over to Chris.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Fox, for your presentation. I'm sure everyone enjoyed it, and there's probably lots of things in the chat for you to take a look at. So let's move on a little bit further into our program for a great performance by Dr. Joe McLean Jr. Joe Mac is what he likes to be called. Is a creative artist specializing in spoken word poetry and creative writing. He's the author of 13 books and nationally recognized spoken word poet who has performed in over 20 states. Additionally, he served 20 years in the United States Marine. Thank you for your service. And is nearing the completion of his bachelor's degree in strategic communication right here at National University. J. Mac, take it away.
Hey everybody, Joe McLean Jr. here, Joe Mac. Quick correction, I was Navy, 20 years Navy, so no disrespect to my Marines, but I'm a sailor born, bred, and true. This is a quick piece I'm gonna knock out. And before that, like she said, I'm a nationally recognized poet. If you're in San Diego, I will be at Queen Bee's Arts and Culture Center on February 21st. We have a national invitational that's being hosted here. If you're on the East Coast, I'll be in Pittsburgh March 1st for a competition, and New Mexico for another national competition from March 20th through the 22nd. So we'll just get into this quick piece. It's titled Chicken because that is a staple in the Black community, but you will definitely get the message once it's complete. Chicken. It's a staple in Black households across America. Deep fried golden brown. Most people go to war if they brought them Dollar chicken joints back. In Chicago, where I'm from, most street beef originates from Harold's versus J&J's. But from formerly being in the military, I could tell you that those Asians fry that chicken and crack. But what's cracking with that grease? That frying sounds a lot like the bones of slaves popping in hot temps. In Kentucky, over a quarter of the population was on the plantation, so the Colonel's 11 herbs and spices were nothing more than hanging trees and branding irons for our skin, making us hot boys way before cash money ever came into creation. They tell me to go mess with churches, but religion has its own recipe. They say you'll fry at 400 degrees if you don't follow JC, but you can't get prayed for until you deposit currency. And currently, Pastor got more drippers than the poultry in the congregation running around like a chicken with his head cut off. You remember when people was popping eyes for Popeyes? If only we popped off that hard when Zimmerman fried Trayvon, but we don't care. That's not in our nature. Go and give me that 20-piece bucket with a side of macaroni and mashed potatoes, and we'll watch our chicks filleted, because every year thousands of Black women go missing and get found butchered. We're raising Canes to be a menace to society while the justice system is playing a game of chess, not checkers, and no amount of rallies is going to solve these issues, because no matter if your last name is Hardee's or Carl's Jr., expect to be sandwiched by the system and sold off to the highest bidder. Because prison for profit ain't nothing but animal farms. Roosters on the yard crowing at the crack of dawn, upset that there ain't no hens in the pen, even though the pen side had order for their tails to be fried hard, but we don't care, because Black folks still gonna eat chicken. But with chicken, when it comes to talking about unification, because the birds of a feather flock together, we turn into canaries when the tear gas comes. Poultry and poetry both sound the same, except we don't take any L's with the latter. America coats us in white flour and throws us in a batter to teach us a lesson. You want these Black folks extra crispy? Throw them in some Wesson and turn the heat up, because slaves rotisserie best around noontime, and everybody loves watching Bojangles. I mean Bodangles. So when you ask Black people, why did the chicken cross the road? It's because over there, we're free range. We ain't have to put all our eggs in one basket. That's too much like asking us put all our babies in a casket. How are Black folks still obsessed with wings when multiple white butchers have gave us ours, courtesy of their own occupation? And if you look at the pecking order for the last 500 years, you repeat and see we still at the bottom. You see, this wasn't a poem meant to ruffle your feathers, but I'm tired of walking on eggshells. So from here on out, it's foul play and I'm cock serving shots out the pot, chicken and dumplings. Thank you.
Virtual snaps for Joe. I feel like we all need a second to just take that in, so I'm gonna pause because that's hard to follow up. So yeah, if everyone wants to give their love in the chat and take a brief moment. For folks that don't know, Joe was highly requested. He spoke at our Veterans Day event this past year, and so just a great representation of our NU community, and we're so happy to have you here, Joe.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And I know that is a tough act to follow, but if anyone can do it, I think Dr. Addison can take it away. And so I'm now going to pass it over to Dr. Wanda Addison, who is going to lead us in some open dialogue.
Thank you, Jasmine. And had I known that Joe Mack would be leading, I would have asked for like a 5-minute breather window. You know, thank you, Joe Mack. Thank you. That was powerful and beautiful. And Jasmine can drop your website in the chat so we can get the information for your performances. Because I know where Queen Bee is. I'm here in San Diego, so I know where that is. So I want to make sure that I have that date. So hopefully I can make it there, because I do enjoy live performance for poetry. It's a hangover from when I was in graduate school. That was some fun times. But I want to lead off also by thanking Dr. Fox. I also want to thank Jasmine. I just have to lift you up, Jasmine. I'm sorry. You are stellar. The work you have done, helping us wrangle all of the various parts, your creativity, excellent job. You probably even wrangled JB a little bit. So we are all thankful for the work that you've done to support this program. As Dr. Fox noted in her talk, and I'm quoting her here, let's honor the legacy of those who came before us, close quote. Built into that legacy is the labor, seen, unseen, hidden, unhidden, free, unfree, of our ancestors. And those ancestors paved the way for us to be here today, for us to walk the road we walked that didn't have to look like the one they walked. And sometimes our ancestors became that last month, and sometimes they became that 200 years ago. But because they did what they did for us, we must do what we can for those who come after us. I submit to you that it is our duty to do that. No one becomes who they are alone, not one soul, no matter how fabulous you are. No one does that alone. And therefore, as community leaders, as faculty, as staff, and as students, your presence in the spaces that you occupy makes space for those who will come after you, even if you never know them. And because we are called to stand in the gap, because we are called to be visible, because we are called to amplify voices, we are also called to show up as who we really are. And when President Milliron was talking about whole human, the word authentically came to my mind, because that's part of whole human. That is whole human. Show up, be you, be all of you in the spaces where you occupy. Because being fully you, being authentically you, honors those who came before you, makes space for those who will come after you. It is a site of representation, as Dr. Fox beautifully said. That's something that we need. It is vital that we have people who look like us, but also people who have walked a similar road like us. People whose journey might be a little different, but whose experiences aren't always as different as they seem. Look for sites of connection when we are seeking to help someone. And sometimes the person we help will look like us, ethnically, racially, gender-wise, sometimes not. But your space that you take up, and I do mean taking up space, because that's what being fully and authentically you means. You take up space. You take up space with yourself. You take up space with your voice. Sometimes you take up space kindly. Sometimes you take up space not kindly. But that representation and that taking up space is itself a site of resistance, a pushback against attempts at invisibility, a pushback against attempts at perhaps trying to force you into hidden spaces. And so I want to, again, thank Dr. Fox. I want to thank Joe Mack for opening this conversation, because they're the ones who opened the conversation. My words just sort of perhaps rolled out the red carpet, but they opened the doors, kicked them wide open. And so I invite everyone, please don't be silent. This is a safe space. I know you're like, how can this be a safe space with 92 people? It is, though. It is. It really is. As Chris said, the lessons we take from here, but not the stories that people share. And so I invite you not to be silent. Do not silence yourself when there are other people out there who would gladly silence you. Why would you do their work for them? Why would you do that? Whoever you are, however you are, present your full self, please. I will ask that you raise your hand so that everyone's voice can be heard, because sometimes when conversations get good, we start talking over one another, and so forth. Voices, conversations, wisdom gets lost. So let's remember to do that. But any topic that you want to talk about anything that we talked about today, the African Americans and labor, which is the topic of African American History Month, or anything from Joe's performance, from Dr. Fox's speech, or anything else around Black history you'd like to speak. I don't want to mess up your name. Shiante, is that right? Or Shianta? Did I say that right?
Shiante is correct. It's
Okay.
correct. I wanted to know if because I know everything with DEI and the whole turmoil. Is there any spaces? Because like I was trying to find possibly like an organization or some sort where I can network with other students who are like me. Not that I can benefit from diverse environments. I'm in the PAD organization right now, but unfortunately it's not I feel like the oddball out. Let me just be frank. I do. And in those spaces it's just it tends to be uncomfortable because it's like I'm invisible and I don't want to be in spaces like that. So I would love to know if there's any organizations or anything of that sort that I can be a part of, because I do want to be a part of a community with National University. I've attempted to be in a environment, try to join an organization to develop some type of community, and I don't feel like it's right for me. So it's not to say that it's a bad program or anything else. I just think that it's not fitting for me. So if there's any organizations that not necessarily is catered to African American students, but have, making a concerted effort to make their organization diverse, I would love to be in that type of organization.
First of all, I want to just say I absolutely hear you. You should not feel an outsider in an organization that is at any point. You should not feel like an outsider, because then that I know those feelings, so I know how detrimental it can be to many things, thought processes as well. I don't know what PAD is. I don't know what that stands for. Can you unmute yourself? I can't hear you. Sorry.
Yes. PAD is a pre-law fraternity. Yeah. So,
Okay.
and not to say that it's a bad organization. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that they're not. It's not really an effort to have different people in the program. It's just it's it's not a lot of effort in making it diverse. What I'm basically saying. Not to say that every program doesn't have to be inclusive. That's not an obligation in California for them to do that. But I just need a space where where there is an effort to communicate and be a community. It don't have to be all Black people can be diverse. I've been in diverse environments. You guys, please, I am so sorry.
That's okay.
I've been in diverse areas. I'm a Navy vet, so I've interacted with many of people. I have the ability to be in those spaces, but it's like I want to be able to be my true self. I don't want to code switch or make myself palatable. I want to be somewhere where
Mhm.
I can just be Shiance. And I don't feel
Yes.
like that is what I'm getting in the organization that I joined.
Right. No, and thank you for that. And um, I don't know of a student organization. I know that there is a staff organization. JB, do we have a student-focused organizations that are around cultural as well as other connections that you're aware of?
Yeah, Jasmine and I were already talking about this earlier today because we've had over the years an interest, Shante, as you say, in having a club or an org dedicated to Black or African American students. And really, we just have never had a critical mass of students who really wanted to lead the effort. So Jasmine and I actually earlier today were talking about sending out once again a kind of a call for our Black and African American students to rally around Black History Month and to form a club, ideally, in the wake of this month and this celebration. So I see that Jasmine has put her email in the chat, Shante, and we will definitely reach out if we can. If you want a private message, your contact information, or just email Jasmine. We'd love to talk to you. There are many, many students out there who feel exactly the same way. And again, we hear them in ones and twos, and we never can kind of get a critical mass together of folks to gather. So we would love to support that.
And also, Shante, even though I'm not in your program, if there's a question that you have or something that you just feel like you need to get off your chest, please feel free to email me as well, waddison@nu.edu. Jasmine, can you pop my email address in the chat as well? Thank you. Harvey.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Outstanding. Please call me Mac. If you call me Harvey, that's what my mother or grandmother used to call me just before they spanked me. But if they called me Mac, everything was okay. Hey, I'm the oldest guy here probably. And as you read my little note, I'm from Hotland. I went to Morehouse College, 65 through 68. I was there when Dr. King was killed, and I was involved in all of the civil rights, and voting rights efforts. A lot of mean, hateful things took place. Yes, I rioted, I burned, I did a lot of things other people did. I suffered because of that, because they took money from the HBCUs, and I had to drop out and found my way in Vietnam and coming back and going to Georgia State later on. Now, how things moved along, you guys hit it. Collective effort. There was a collective effort, not only at Morehouse in the Atlanta University system, which was full of 5 other HBCUs, other than 4 others, other than Morehouse, was Georgia State, University of Georgia, where the topics that involved prejudices and hates and historical things that are taking place were brought forth in the classroom to show how they were interdependent with the academic topics. In other words, we mail what was gone before to understand where we are now to get where we want to go. And that wound up with some heated discussions amongst the students. And the instructors really had to know how to engage these things here forth. So now we see some of that evil taking place again now as books about Black history, other parts of our society being thrown out of libraries, going to be depleted from our public school educational system. And in some of my conversations with some of the instructors, not only at National, but other places I got comrades I serve with at other universities, there's a hesitancy, a reticence to get involved in these topics, even though they're teaching liberal arts courses where you can bring these things forth in the classroom, because we don't know how. We've forgotten that knowing how to engage without being afraid I'm going to get a negative critique from a student or a faculty member to bring these things forth. So I throw it out to all of you, the students as well as faculty members. Are you willing to step out courageously and understand how you can mail these sensitive topics and into or interwoven them with the topics of your courses. Like there's a great topic we have at National, LED 610, a graduate course, ethics and leadership decision making. And it uses the book Blink and a lot of other references there. And I'll be a little braggadocious there. I make the kids write their final thesis and I pick sensitive subjects on real world things, but we dialogue it before they write on it. And yes, it is sensitive. We got people on all sides pushing back and forth. The only way we're going to do this is that collectively we all become aware, appreciate, to give us a chance to acculturate. And we don't need to be part of special organizations. It's going to have to start in academia. So how do we come up with a strategic plan like at National and other universities to not only stay in the strategic mindset, but to make it happen at the tactical level, down at the practical side where we put it in there and it actually takes hold and it becomes efficient as well as efficient. Talked enough. That's enough.
No, thank you. Thank you, Mac. And thank you for that bit of call to action as well. So that it becomes not just talk and us hanging out in this space and then doing nothing afterwards. So appreciate that. Christy?
Thank you. I so appreciate both of the speakers and the gentleman that just spoke. I think you mentioned authenticity earlier. That's a definite form of resistance. There's no truer form of resistance than being yourself and showing up and speaking your truth. And I think now more than ever, that's important. I mean, the last 3 weeks have been exhausting. And I think that's the point. So the more we can do in whatever capacity we can do it, it's important, because I know for sure our ancestors didn't go through all of the experience with the hope of a better day for us to not have courage in whatever way that we can have courage, because I believe there's strength in numbers. And then to know who we are and to know that diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, accessibility is important. I don't care what somebody else says, all because of whatever they see as being a trend, and erasing our history and trying to erase who we are. So it's definitely a moment to be courageous and to resist. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. And because that is one of the disturbing parts, that it and I'm being mild, and I know that I'm being mild with that word, but just because someone tries to erase you, it doesn't mean that you will be erased. Your very presence and the presence of others is taking up space to say that you are not. And as fearful as it is, having not lived through, the bulk of what happened during the civil rights movement, it's very fearful to look at some of what's happening. But that's also intentional, right? Creation of chaos is intentional. Creation of fear is intentional. But just because someone says a thing, it doesn't make it true. I can say the sky is green, but we have already all agreed that it is blue. And so I can go around saying that the sky is green and there are no such things as trees until I'm blue in the face. But that does not negate the reality that the sky is blue and there are lots of trees. So finding community, I think, seems to be a lot of what we're talking about. And I'm hopeful that this group and then the work of JV and his office after this as well will continue to support students, as well as, and then staff and faculty have some spaces also around creation of community, so that none of us feel like we're alone, because that's where despair can sink in.
Thank you so much, Dr. Addison. And yeah, feel free to join a breakout room, and we'll come back at the very end just for some closing remarks, but want to give you all some space to connect.
Good evening, and thank you everyone for everything. So I have a question, and it it may have something, it may have a little nuance to it. So, and I'm really happy about the stance that National University is taking in terms of DEI. And a lot of people, a lot of schools are doing, a lot are not, but a lot of schools are. But what I'm seeing, or what I think I'm seeing, is that DEI also has gradations. So maybe in admissions, you will see real evidence of DEI. But when we get to graduations, when we get to those very special honors that come with graduation, are we still seeing that same level of DEI, so that we see that same level of representation maybe in the president's circles and those very elite honor societies? And I'm concerned with that because so this is the more difficult DEI. DEI, I mean, all of it has levels of difficulty, but there is an even more extreme amount of difficulty when we start talking about things that are going to springboard people or help them pivot into that next level, and that next level that's going to make a lot of difference in what their earning power, because we're talking about about their earning power and so forth.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for that. Who's in the C-suite, who's in the executive level, what do they look like, and who are they? Just who are they on the full diversity spectrum? I think that's something to think about for sure. And for those, really quickly, for those who were in the room with me, and you saw Dr. Saul Langster, I know we don't have much time, but I just want to direct you to Dr. Saul Langster, because we were talking about the history of civil rights. We started with that and the fear. Dr. Saul Langster walked with Dr. Martin Luther King. He is a powerhouse of a civil rights activist. So if you have any questions for Dr. Langster, he is on our faculty. We are fortunate to have him. You might reach out to Dr. Langster about walking with fear, and walking and trying to hold your hand and keep you back, but you walk anyway. He is a living testimony and a living example of being able to do so, even in the face of fear, where people have billy clubs and they want to kill you simply because of the color of your skin. Dr. Langster and Dr. King and all those who walked, Senator John Lewis as well, that he can testify and speak beautifully, quite frankly, to something that we may all need. Dr. Langster, you might be hearing from me. The reality of when the fear gets to you, when you start really feeling it, how do you get up? How do you get up? So Dr. Langster is an awesome person to speak with and to reach out to. Again, he's part of the NU faculty, so you can email him as well.
Also, Jasmine, Dr. Fox, I wanted to add that Candace had put information she wanted about how to write a book and things like that. So if you want to have more information about something that you've heard that I've done, please feel free to reach out to me on my website, and you can connect with me there with a appointment time, and I'll be glad to share with you whoever all of the information that I have and how I self-published my second book. My first book was done by someone else that did that, but I know the steps to help you to be able to do that. And I saw Candace had put that in the chat. So I wanted to make sure I referenced her, but also we need more time because we can't heal what we don't address. And I think that we should find some way to do this again where we can bring us together and talk about this again and continue to have the conversation past the Black History celebration that we've just done today, but throughout the year to have that space to be able to do this.
On that note, I did want to just give another thank you to everyone for coming out today and for all of our amazing speakers. I think this was a space that was very much needed, and I appreciate, everyone staying on and being engaged and being willing to be vulnerable and share your voice. And you will be able to get a copy of this recording in the follow-up email, and there'll be more to come. Black History doesn't just end in Black History Month.